Welcome back. You'd have to scroll down through almost 10 years worth of my videos to some of the very first videos I ever did to find my selection of scopes. I wanted to upgrade that and make it a little bit more contemporary and perhaps answer some questions that have come up since that first video was made on scope selection. I'm going to break this down into bite-sized pieces. So there's going to be, basically, there's going to be 4 videos that will address the various questions that will come up. And here's my buddy Benny. Here he is. He wants to be part of the video. Yeah. So you want to say hi to the folks? Your fans? Yeah, he's a good boy. So in this first segment, I want to talk about scope pricing. Now, that really has become a big issue in the last, well, I would say in just the last 8 or 10 years or so. There have been some fabulous bargains when it comes to scopes. And yeah, I know. And there's a good place for those bargain scopes. I've got one here. This is a 3-to-9 Hawk, and this is a terrific scope. It's got very nice, very nice, firm, smooth adjustments for the power setting. The click adjustments are dead on the money. The focus ring here is solid. It doesn't move. Yeah, it doesn't move when you touch it, accidentally with your clothing. Everything about this, and the adjustable objective is very firm and not, there's no slop in that. Everything about this scope is really nice. It's made in China. It's a bargain scope. A couple of years ago, I paid $97 for this scope. And it certainly withstands the recoil. It's made to withstand the recoil of any rifle, and it certainly withstands the rigorous recoil of a spring air rifle that I have it mounted on here. It's on my Beeman R7. So it has its place, and that place would be for recreational shooting, where there's no demands placed upon it for its quality. I don't know what's inside of it, but obviously at $97, they had to cut some things in terms of raw materials. There could be possibly plastic parts inside, nylon parts or something. It could be pot metal parts. I don't know. It could be any number of things. But this is not the scope that I would select for going out west on a long distance hunt. I wouldn't even select this scope for going to a fairly local hunt, within 20 or 30 miles, because I'm counting on a scope to work. I'm counting on it not to fog up in cold weather when I go into the cold from a warm cabin or a warm car, because there's so sudden temperature and humidity changes that can very frequently cause an invasion of moisture into an inexpensive scope. Now, whether or not that scope withstand that, I don't know. But for $97, I'd rather go to a more expensive scope, one made by a reputable manufacturer, such as, there's any number of them. There's Leupold, Burris, Bushnell, Vortex. There's a whole number of scopes that are made by quality industries that will produce a very reliable, solid, return on your investment. Do you have to spend a lot of money for a scope of that sort? Absolutely not. And we'll see that for the type of scope that you're probably going to want to buy, you're going to be somewhere in the range comfortably of, $300, somewhat less than $300, maybe a little bit more than $300, but it's going to be a good quality scope that will serve you well. So again, this is the sort of scope that I put on a gun for fun situation. In other words, something that you're not investing anything in terms of competitive trophies. You're not investing. You sit on a plane for 6 hours or 7 hours or something to go out west from my location, and you get there and you find out that your scope isn't working very well. That's not a good situation. You need to have that which quality pricing brings. But on the other hand, you certainly don't need to spend extravagant amounts of money. That's an option. You can do that. There are any number of scopes that, and with certain options that you can buy up, and you can get well beyond that $275 or $300 range, and you can spend to your heart's content whatever you want to unfold from your wallet. Just lay it out there. But we're going to talk about all the different things that attend to the purchase of a scope, and the various questions that people have with regard to power, with regard to adjustable objectives, all the things, everything that has to do with first and second focal plane scopes, light gathering. All those things are going to be discussed in my next 3 videos. And perhaps there'll be more to follow, depending on what sort of questions I might get. But when it comes to pricing of scopes, remember that, gauge your pricing according to what your actual need is. If you're investing in something, and if you are counting on a scope, and it's basically you're talking a do or die situation. There's reason to come home with the game, or reason to come home with the trophy, and you put some investment of emotion into it, study, money, all the things that go into something which is really important to you. Don't bank on a bargain scope. That might work. It might work, but it also might not work. There's a reason why that scope only cost me $97. For whatever reason, there's no possibility that $97 scope is going to come up to the same level of performance that a scope made by such companies as the quality standard that Leupold makes, for instance. They make scopes for the military. These are absolutely bulletproof. No, I shouldn't say bulletproof. These are scopes that have fallen down hills, rattled down. Rifles have broken before their scopes have broken. They're very high grade. They will absolutely never fog up on you. There's the reticles are there. You don't ever have to worry that the reticles will suddenly disappear. I once years ago had just before Redfield went out of business, the original Redfield company, back in the early 70s, I had it was a variable power Redfield scope. It was one of those wide field scopes that they made in those days. It had looked like a TV screen type of ocular lens. And I had only put 6 shots through the thing. I put 1 magazine through. I had sighted in it was my Model 70, my 70s vintage Model 70, 30-06. I had just sighted it in with 3 or 4 rounds at 100 yards. And halfway through my second magazine, all of a sudden, I looked in the scope and I see this big black dot, big black blob right in the middle of where my, target was. Well, that didn't go over too well with me. It turned out that it was the cement. They had, rather than screwing the lenses in with threaded rings against the lenses, they had cemented them in place, and that cement, that gooey cement, had gotten loose and flopped itself right in the middle of my lens. So there are things that can happen with a scope which are they're not something that you expect or anticipate, and those are the sort of things that money will prevent. Always when you know, when something is on the line that's important, always go for the quality scope. But don't overbuy. That's not necessary. The extremely high quality scopes are available in the type of scope that I will be explaining in my successive videos. You'll see that less is more. Just as I said in my original presentation, less is more. Buying more and more and more for a scope is absolutely not the thing to do. It's absolutely not necessary. There are schemes out there to peel your money out of your wallet, and those schemes are being put on by, they're being led by the large box stores, the hunting and shooting stores, fishing and clothing stores, all these places that sell, they sell good equipment, but they're purveying a bunch of nonsense that you really don't want, and I'll show you that and all the reasons why in the videos to follow. So for my Patreon donors, thank you so much for your assistance. Benny thanks you also. I actually used some of that money. You guys love him, so I actually used some of that money to buy him some milk bones, the big ones. So he likes those. So he gets one in the morning and maybe one in the afternoon. We go out and have a cigar. But that's the sort of help that Benny and I get from you. I thank you so much, and it helps purchase ammo and all the other things that are needed for the presentation of these, even some of the equipment that I need to present a decent video. But whatever you do, hit the thumbs up button, and do that right now, and hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. We hope to see you in the next 3 videos as we move along through the scope selection process. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and God bless.